Pokimane
2006.
Subscribe.
So Pokimane just put out this tweet that got 30.6 million impressions, which is an insane amount on Twitter if you don't know that already. It got only 83k likes and only 3.1k comments, which is horrible statistics for a tweet like that. I'm sure you all know who Pokimane is. She needs no introduction. She's the world's biggest female streamer and also the world's most hated female streamer. She's just so easy to hate in my opinion because of her pick-me attitude, and the way she says things all the time sound double-sided, where they can be taken as a compliment or an insult depending on how you look at it. Now, this tweet she put out is no small feat, and just to give you a little bit of context before we get into it, I want to talk about P. Diddy, yeah, Puff Daddy, the world's biggest criminal right now, and as you probably heard, if the glove don't fit, you must acquit. He got away with basically every charge. The only thing he was convicted on is 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, which doesn't make sense to me because how is that not including sex trafficking? I don't know how that's different, but, you know, I'm not the one who makes those decisions. Anyway, that's just a little bit of context for Pokimane's tweet. So what she actually did say, I'm sorry to blue ball you here for so long. What she actually said was, believe victims. A lot of people are misquoting it, saying she said believe all victims, which is just not true. I don't know why that's being spread. Yeah, she said believe victims, which is in response to the P. Diddy trial where they did not believe the victims. I think that's a little important to see because people are misinterpreting this to be like, oh, if anyone makes an accusation, immediately send the person to jail, which this is just an overreach of what she is saying. I don't want to misrepresent her, but at the same time, she is an extremely fake person. I mean, I'm sure you've seen how double-sided she can be, how two-faced she can be.
Do you think someday we'll have a revolution like that in America?
What's going on?
The wealth disparity is getting bad.
The wage gap, I hate that.
No, wealth disparity.
Wealth disparity.
Wage gap is like between men and women. Men and women, we love each other.
Facts.
And we hate the rich. Anyways.
I really don't know how she thought she was going to get away with saying something like this without seeming like a complete ignorant fool. Like, she's clearly making a huge distinction between the top 0.001% like Elon Musk type people and herself, when in reality she has a lot more money than I'll ever see in my entire life, and most likely any of y'all will ever see. I'm sorry to put it that bluntly. Sorry if you can hear a ringing bell in the background, that's my cat. She loves to come and play on my computer when I'm recording audio. Anyway, this isn't the first example of her being kind of hypocritical. She has an infamous cookie brand where they were extremely overpriced and she tried to pretend like they were cheap.
When people are like, oh my god, $28 for cookies? It's 4 bags. That's $7 a bag. I know math is hard when you're an idiot, but like if you're a broke boy, just say so. Anyway.
Pokimane is a creator with a pretty complicated relationship with their audience, to say the least. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if a majority of her viewers are just hate watching and waiting for that perfect moment to clip. So with a tweet like this, you're gonna have a lot of insane replies. Keep in mind the number ratios of like her likes to comments and shit, because that's pretty important. Obviously, the first thing that comes to mind when you read something like this is the rare cases of sexual assault victims that are putting out false accusations in order to like damage someone's career. Now, this is a really rare thing, and when it does happen, it really does ruin the life of the other person. However, it is still quite rare, and you shouldn't really judge all cases based off of that, because that is just equally as dangerous as what Pokimane is saying. You get what I'm saying? Because you're kind of being a sheep of the other herd if you think all accusations are fake. So looking at some of these replies, I'm going to have to steal from Curse's video because the ones that he put in there were already deleted and they got more likes than literally Pokimane's own tweet.
Pokimane tried to grape me at the Atlanta airport in 2019. Has 167,000 likes. I was gripped by Pokimane in 1997 and it has 256,000 likes.
Well, we got this one like, a victim of Pokimane was sexually assaulted by Pokimane. And it's got literally 16k likes. And another reason people are pretty upset about her is how fake she seems with her resolve. Like, someone commented on her original tweet saying, Pokimane, I love you and I agree, but I can't forget the way you made fun of Amber Heard during the trial. It was really disappointing. Please address this. And obviously, y'all remember Amber Heard, the girl talking about pooping in the bed all the time. She was insane and she deserved to be laughed at. However, Pokimane replied, I completely understand. I regret how I restreamed the trial because any jokes are at the expense of how victims can be perceived. And then a sad face. I apologize for that, plus took down those videos a long time ago. So it kind of does give off virtue signaling, and don't get me wrong, we'll get more into this tweet later. But first off, a lot of streamers were reacting. Like Tectone, he had a pretty rageful reaction as usual.
I was like, believe victims. Well, once again, I like to fancy myself the person who brings things back down into reality. I tweet out 3 words that caused quite the commotion, just like Pokimane tweeted 2 words. Women can lie. Yep. You know what we should believe, Pokimane? People should believe proof. Because when good boys who, man, morals are so much higher than mine, tweet out things like believe victims in such a mass blanket statement, which, by the way, is never a good thing to do, what happens is that you are leaning into something that I like to call guilty until proven innocent, and not innocent until proven guilty. When you say that anybody can go on the internet and lie, when anybody can go on the internet and say anything, and you have to believe them because they're crying, well, guess what? That doesn't set up a good precedent. Now,
so obviously, I can't disagree with Tectone too much because he is right. It is a little dangerous to say believe victims considering some people are going to lie at the end of the day. However, it is still the same mentality that Tectone is the sheep of the other herd, as I said earlier, because he is saying that women can lie. Like, obviously they can lie, but why focus on that part when a lot of the times they're just not lying? Like, why spread that idea when Pokimane's original tweet is possibly positively spirited? However, that can be taken away from the fact that she might still just be virtue signaling, and that's the part that Tectone caught on to that I think is really important. It does seem like she doesn't really even believe what she's saying. She just wants in the moment when the trial is popular to latch on to that popularity and say something that's going to be pretty popular in the public, make her pretty favorable, you know, get people having a high opinion of her. However, there is something they do misunderstand, and that's the fact that it is still positive even though it is virtue signaling. That's what Asmongold also seems to misunderstand in this clip here.
Pokimane drops a believe victims tweet. How brave. Oh God. Shouldn't you figure it out based in a court of law? Don't go around and just believe what people say. You know why? It's because people lie. What a dumb thing to say. Pokimane is apologizing to someone on X for laughing at Amber Heard. Please fucking remind me about that.
My source is that I made it the fuck up.
Okay, when they were talking about, like, we have all this evidence that he actually did it.
Obviously, she seems pretty hypocritical now. I mean, she was laughing pretty hard back in the day, and now she seems like she's so serious that we should believe victims, when her actions don't actually tell us that she believes that. And as we all know, actions speak louder than words. I don't really know what to believe, but every time I see a streamer deal with a situation, I just think how much better I could have dealt with it myself. Like, if she just wasn't as certain in her original tweet, if she wasn't making like an ultimatum, she could have just said something along the lines of, we should believe victims more of the time, or more often victims are honest, then there would just have been no backlash. Maybe there would have been a little, but it wouldn't have been justified, because that's a very reasonable thing to say, unlike what she actually said. There's not really much more to say about it. That's about the end of the video. If you enjoyed, you should definitely like and subscribe. That's about it. I'll see ya.